I've actually never heard of that.
A lot of Memphians still do not know what happened.
I've heard of it. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Like, it's so funny, like how things have changed drastically, but at the same time, things haven't changed all that much in 150 years.
So there's a lot of points to this. It's very educational, and what stuck out to me was the fact that we didn't know about the Memphis Massacre. This is the first time I'm hearing of it, and it serves as a point to show that we have to know our history in order to protect our future, because like you said, it's been 100 and so many years and things are practically the same. So you could see the strategic moves where to pit Irish against Black people, and it's happening now in our society. And in the moment we won't see the strategy, but when you look back without bias or whatever, you could understand it. So I think it's really important that we need to look back into history. Like, one thing that stuck out to me as well was when the Universal Studios came about and they started The Birth of a Nation, and I got some insight to it, and I heard that they used a white person to play a Black character to portray Black people as rapists and animalistic and aggravating white women, and that was a purpose for KKK to come about, to be like a white savior for the white race. So when I saw the movie, like clips of it, and I saw the white person's face painted black, and in that time period, it served its purpose to stoke the fire, basically, like the guy was saying. So, like right now, it could be going on, but not in that exact context. So we have to be so careful, and it's very insightful for that, for this.
I guess in a very simple way, history kind of teaches us a lot of things, and we don't want to doom to repeat it. Where, you know, the theme of this film is that two lower classes who are like have not much power. There's like kind of a manipulation for them to kind of take each other out. And I'm not trying to get political, but you kind of see some very similar things happening in the Western world today, which is kind of funny because there's so much richness and so much like prosperity happening.
I like the recurring use of the river for your scene transitions, and that worked very well. And the expert interviews, and they were all very well done. Very well shot, very good use of sound, the sounds of fire and the sounds of water. In fact, that was a recurring thing through the whole film, fire and water, fire and water.
One of the things that was only touched on briefly was the aspect of, and I know this is going to sound offbeat, but Donald Trump uses the term fake news, and he's actually turning it on its head, because we saw what the news reports, the newspapers were doing back then with the situation. So he's actually using that aspect to show that there is fake news going on. And so you can't really tell what is true and what isn't. And so you really have to do your own research to find out what is going on, because it's archived by those newspapers, and the people who want to believe that such things did not exist and it was all made up, they will revert back to those newspapers and say that's what's actually went on.
Yeah, totally. It's always good for all sides to kind of like document. That's the one strength about today's world, where all sides will kind of be documented, and it's up to our job to interpret it further.
We see that we heard in it that the media, the news reports, could not be trusted for revealing the truth. It was filtered through status quo power relationship, cultural relationships. It was so disturbing, the parallels to today, and Congress not doing anything, yet sowing the seeds through media of interracial conflict.
So the press plays a critical role in stoking the fires in the white community of fear.
The South is overrun by emissaries.
Yeah, there's something interesting about like, as we're kind of like the commonality, like 150 years is a long time. There shouldn't be common, you know what I mean? Like, we should be more evolved and kind of past this, and we can look at this film and go, oh yeah, I'm glad we've learned from that, and come from a macro standpoint, of course. I'm glad we learned that when we moved on and we've evolved as a species. And then all these conversations are just talking about, and I set it up, is that we're talking about today, which is, it's unfortunate and it's kind of, tragic in a lot of ways.